Sup amigos, it's Tello here, back to you with another video for today. I normally don't do these style of videos where I look at other people's content, but thanks to the grace of Sam Medina, we're gonna say, what's up, how you doing amigo? Much love to you, good friend over there at the round table. Good friend indeed. Lock it in. Don't get your ass packed up, Medina. I said what I said, sir. However, though, he made a very interesting video about some drama going on with a certain creator named Cdew, who's a big-time arena player. I'm sure you guys have heard of him. And also issues going on with Mop Classic leveling. So we're going to watch this video together. We're going to give some points and go from there. So let's get involved.
Welcome to the third day of Chores of Pandaria, and we got some crazy drama going on, not between two streamers, but between a streamer and an entire community that just turned on him for a very innocuous reason. I think this is really funny. Okay, so this is Cdew. As you guys know, Cdew is a famous arena player. He plays arena, and he got this take on Twitter that got him quite a bit of a backlash in here. Now, I will tell you that his take is not that crazy, even though it is, and where he's coming from, because I don't know if you know these guys, but we kinda got ripped off in Mob. Okay, this is his take. Call me crazy, but Blizzard should have a skip level feature in the re-releases. Already been there, done that, the leveling content isn't enjoyable anymore, and most people just want to do the end game. For those who want to level, they can do it without skipping. Okay, so he basically said they should put a button in the game where you can skip leveling.
Here's the thing. Alright, hold on a second. I understand where Cdew's coming from, and by the way, that tweet got 205k views, so it seems like people really give a shit about this subject. But I get where he's coming from, and I believe this individual, Cdew is an arena player. I know he is popular in that section, but the thing is that it's an expansion release. You can't just have people skip all the content just because maybe you as your, own person, maybe coming from a content creation standpoint, maybe just coming from a grinding standpoint, or maybe that you're just getting older as well. This is just like the reality of things you have to take into consideration. You can't skip all that stuff just because you just want to have fun at the end game and because you already know what the end game is. Now, don't get me wrong, everybody already knows what the end game is, right? Of, playing MOP. But if we were just to skip all the content, what's the point of this game even being called an MMO anymore? And I think that's kind of the problem right now in the World of Warcraft scene, where there is a fine line that's getting, that's already been drawn for some point now, where is this game even an MMO anymore, or is this just some type of, arena style game in a way where it is no longer the world feels massively important, but it's just about getting to your end game items, getting to your end game gear, and then just rinse and repeat, and that's it. And I think that's the problem, is that World of Warcraft, it's very limited on the exploration aspect towards the end of its game, where like games like old school RuneScape and all these other creators are going to, the end game really is just the player base and its stories and the places you travel to and all the things that you level up and all the tasks that you want to do. That's why RuneScape is getting such a surge of players right now, because people are just finally realizing, at least World of Warcraft players are seeing this, that there's a much more exploration, game out there that is actually an MMO in comparison to World of Warcraft, where currently everything is metafied, everything is on the internet, and everybody knows the end game content, and they just want to rush to that standpoint, right? And especially creators too. Like a lot of creators will tell you this. They, like the game, but they really, truthfully just want to get to the end of it and play it, and then probably more than likely complain that there's no content, because that's the content in itself. So that's how, people get you. So just telling you the truth. That's just from, my point of view.
The way they are gonna put that button in the game is gonna cost $60, and thank you Cdew for that idea, but why are people so mad? And why did Cdew, of all people, a PvPer, feel compelled to say, I don't wanna level anymore? Now, I feel I am in a similar boat. We both play the game for an income, for our job, and I also don't wanna freaking level. I mean, that was never a secret to you guys. I spent so much time making videos on how to exploit for more XP, solo the monkey runs to do four times level faster, how to solo the things with mages, how to get boosted. I made so many videos over the years. Now, I don't think I would ever say that they should make a button to skip the entire thing, True. Mind you, and that's the extreme angle that got the discussion started, and you can see people in Reddit are already blasting him
This Reddit thread had 1,000+ comments. What the hell?
He's getting tired of his job. I am tired, boss. They should put a button that says I win when you open an item. There is an option in the Blizzard store. Okay, that's an actual constructive argument in here. Then a guy just flipped it over. Call me crazy, but Blizzard should remove endgame from the re-releases. We've all done the raids. It is stale. The real fun is in leveling and exploration. Focus on making the journey meaningful again. God damn it, we got Ebon Heart in the comments.
I was gonna say it's an Ebonheart style response, but dude, this guy it is true though. Like World of Warcraft, it really should be about the journey. It should be about the exploration. It should be about that early level ganking, that early level, PvP, the early level questing, and like, the items that make you feel important, and that carries you through a couple levels and you remember that item. That's what World of Warcraft should be about. In all due respect, the end game is just the cherry on top of the rest of the cake. The rest of the cake is what matters, not the fucking cherry. And I think the end game needs to really be, I wouldn't say dumbed down in the future when it comes to whatever Blizzard is going to cook up next, whether it's a C+ or not. At this point, I really don't care. I don't even believe it's coming out. But I will say, I truthfully believe the focus should be the journey more than anything.
But why did Cdew, a person that is mostly like a reasonable guy, he's a really good player, it's not like out of lack of skill or determination, the man grinds arenas 10 hours a day, and he has 2 kids, so I don't know where he finds the time to do it, but he finds the time to do it. It is not a lack of determination or dedication that he doesn't want to level. Okay, here's the problem. Mist of Pandaria is by far the longest leveling expansion we have seen yet. Okay, right. For a comparison, leveling 70 to 80, look at my character with my new transmog, level 70 to 80 in Wrath of the Lich King, it took you about an afternoon and a half. Leveling in TBC from 60 to 70, it did take you a little longer perhaps, but you were doing dungeons the entire time. Dungeon leveling was very much a really good way to level. Yeah. Most of your previous grind could be done while you were level like 67 to 70, so the real endgame kinda started at 67. You could be getting like level 70 proper items before you were level 70, so if you were intelligent and you like strategized around what items you needed, you were pretty much on the end game grind the second you hit like 67, 68. Wrath of the Lich King, it was way faster. Cataclysm, it took me an afternoon, okay? I felt that level 83 was a huge slog, yeah, like level 83 to 84 was kinda really slow, but everything else, you just go to dungeons and crank, and in an afternoon you are done.
See, the difference right there, though, here's the thing, that why also people feel like the leveling is longer in MoP in comparison to these other expansions or the previous expansions, right? Is because also another thing that kind of put your mind at ease from the leveling process was the talent system. In those other versions of the game, every level mattered. Every item that you got through your levels mattered. So the fact that you were getting a point every time you leveled and you were, exploring something new about your class, it was a different impact to your overall journey throughout the expansion. And in Mist of Pandaria, you're not getting anything really for you every time you level because it is based off their new talent system, right? Which it skips every other levels until you get to level 90 where you really get your last, bracket of your talents to really expand your class. So that's why, in a sense, it also feels like it's taking a long time because you're not really getting rewarded every time you level up. The only thing you're getting rewarded for is by going through the new zones efficiently as you can and exploring those zones and getting those quests done so you can finally get to your dailies. And then at some point, when you spam a couple, heroics when you're at 90 and you finally get your talents, that's when you really get rewarded. But I think the leveling in MoP, at least in my opinion, from a person who, I would say I went pretty, solid on it. I wouldn't say I went really super hard, but I did level around 17, 18 hours. I made a video about this yesterday. And I just did questing. I treated it as a normal thing. I was streaming, I was doing my thing. And I would say, it was a pretty easy time. But there was times where, I felt like, yeah, the leveling was kind of, slow, for sure. I'm not going to deny that whatsoever. And there was times the quests were also bugging out, which was kind of annoying as shit. But I did mix dungeons in between of that. I would mix the occasional monkey run here and there, but I didn't really spam all that. I really stayed more true to just doing a full-on dungeon and then also just doing quests and doing a fuck ton of quests, getting all those quests bunched up and handing them in one succession. This way I can knock out the storylines, get to the other zones, knock out those storylines, and then just get everything prepared. This way when I got to 90, I was able to do dailies. So it wasn't horrible, but I do think, yeah, Medina is right. Mr. Pandaria is the slowest leveling experience out of anything before it that we have had, and I do think people will get a little exhausted from that. But at the same time, if you're just a casual gamer and you're just playing this as an MMO and you're treating it as an MMO, which I think a lot of players need to do more nowadays, and not treat this as some speed, leveling run process just because your, favorite creator or somebody you saw online, it got to it in like 3-4 hours or whatever. That's how you should play the game, is by just treating it as a normal game. Don't treat it as something that you have to rush through. What are you going to rush through? To get to dailies? It's not that exciting. So trust me, it's not that exciting. You're not missing much if you don't level to 90 in the first week, or hell, even the first month. You could take as long as you want. You're not missing a lot. Trust me. There's not even the raid out, not even Celestials out. Arena's not even out. You're totally fine, guys.
It's been 3 days of Pandaria. I've been giving a solid 6 hours a day every day, and I am barely about to hit level 89 right here. Now, keep in mind, I am actually ahead of where I should be, because I spent almost all my time doing monkey runs. Monkey runs, I made a video, my previous video, if you want to check it out. You can tank a dungeon and exploit your way into resetting some mobs, and you can get anywhere from 2 to 3 times the XP you would get if you were questing or doing dungeons.
The problem with monkey runs, though, I'm going to just say this real quick. I'm sorry to interrupt them. They're boring as hell. And I found that out real quickly, and I just went right back to questing and just doing full-on dungeons. I just can't sit there and do that all day long. That, to me, just sounds so boring, and just, I know it's efficient with timing trying to level up, but I also find my time to equivalent to my happiness as well. And I don't want to just sit there and just do the same thing over and over again. I'm just going to get bored. I'm not going to be happy with the game. I want to explore these zones. It's my first time legitimately playing MoP besides Remix, and I wanted to see how the pacing truthfully was from a person leveling in these zones for the first time. And I must say, I would prefer questing 10 times over, doing just monkey runs or spamming elite mobs and stuff like that.
Normally, right? So I am basically leveling twice as fast as I am supposed to, for the most part. And even then, after 3 days, I am not 90 yet. This is not twice as long as Cataclysm, this is easily 4 times longer than Cataclysm, okay? So even though I also disagree on the whole skip the entire leveling part, I can totally agree with Cdew that leveling is way too freaking long. If you are doing questing efficiently, which I am not right now, right? I am like freaking AFK. If you are questing effectively, you are getting like somewhere between 5 and 6 million experience per hour. If you're spamming dungeons, you would be lucky to get 4 million experience per hour. And the level is right now 22 million experience for a single level, guys. So that's like what? On a normal intended way to level, like questing or dungeons, you are looking at like 4 to 5 hours per level.
I do think Blizzard did mess up with that in a sense, where they thought that the design of just extending the XP bars more and more was the way that the player was like kind of chasing the carrot on a stick. Like, you're just going after something that it's so close, but you're never quite there. And instead of just like making the game rewarding through its questing system and truthfully just making the world just feel like the thing that the player needs to stay involved with, rather than just having to queue for dungeons over and over again, spamming it and feeling like they have to meet this threshold within a certain time because they have to get to their dailies, they have to prepare for raid. Just instead of just filling out the world in itself and providing more content in these areas, because the areas are beautiful in themselves, right? And there is a lot of quests to do, but like there is an issue that I do see where questing doesn't really get you all the XP that you need if you don't mix in dungeons, right? You have to mix in dungeons in order to get to 90 efficiently. But at the same time, if you just stick to questing alone, it's really not going to get you to 90 where you want to be that fast. And at that point, you're probably going to only hit like maybe 89 and change, and then you're still going to have to spam some dungeons. So I do think that there should have been more essence on the world in itself to get to 90, and play through the world rather than having to just sit through dungeon spam, rather than having to find these cheeky methods of, little exploitation here and there to get to 90. And the world should have provided enough resources and, XP, and maybe the XP shouldn't have been like 22 million. That's insane. Maybe we should have shortened these numbers up a little bit so the player can hit 90 through the world by going through every zone, exploring and filling out these areas, and they don't need to spam dungeons over and over and over again. So that's just my opinion. I'm sure people will have a differential in the comments below, but that's just what, my take.
Let me tell you something crazier. I could probably level a character from 1 to 50 in vanilla in the time it will take me as a normal leveler to hit level 85 to 90 in mob. Okay, so for the people that say that it is a super casual, easy leveling, yes, it is extremely easy. There is zero challenge. Yeah. You will never freaking die questing. The mobs do not do any damage to you. You can two-shot every mob. It is mind-numbingly boring, and that's the problem. Because at least in vanilla, where it does take a lot to level, there is a challenge. I am trying to pay attention because I will die. There are many ways I can push myself. Sure. When I am questing in mob, the only difference between me and a great player is that they pop more swiftness potions to run from point A to point B a little faster. That's pretty much it, okay? Like, there is nothing I can do that will improve my leveling. I just gotta do the chores. They tell me pick up 10 items and then kill 10 mobs, and you do it in 5 seconds and you go back. And you get like 2% of a level every quest.
And here's the thing too about the world and MOP. The one thing I will say, as a player that enjoys PvP, like I've always rolled on PvP servers no matter what, because I don't care much about the whole ganking scenario. Like I understand it sucks for more popular creators and stuff where you get ganked over and over again. That is not really a fun thing to go through. But I will say this. I know on Grobulus, they have open world PvP over there, and the world is somewhat alive with actual players going through it. The only thing I'm seeing on Benediction right now is just other players doing quests and just, mob tagging, and that's it. There's nothing else really going on in the world. The world in itself, even though these zones are very beautiful, and this, expansion just re-released, in a way, it does feel very empty, which is kind of soulless to an MMO, and I think that is a problem. And if Blizzard, if you guys are playing your own game, no disrespect here, go take a look for yourselves. People are just doing their dailies, and then they're living in instance queues, and they're living in BGs, and that's it. There's really not much going on in the world, and in that sense, I do think there can be a lesson taken from this, that you have to really make your world feel special. You have to make these zones feel populated and see other players, whether it's PvP or not. That's something that makes an MMO, and honestly, it does feel very empty, especially when I was doing a lot of questing after, the day one of the launch. I'm talking about, a couple days in now, just doing dailies as well. It just does feel very empty, and it could get boring. So Sam Medina is absolutely right when it comes to, the pacing and leveling in MOP so far.
I think in vanilla you get more XP, like a bigger percentage of your level per quest than in here. And this is to tell you that we've been kinda ripped off, because I will tell you something that a lot of people are not aware of, and Cdew actually went to the interview he had with the developers and he brought this up. Blizzard actually agreed with us, because Blizzard actually nerfed the experience we needed to hit level cap in MOP. They nerfed it by about 33% in patch 5.3, which I think it was Throne of Thunder, and it made MOP a lot easier. Like right now, if you quest normally, and I don't, I spend most of my time in dungeons, and that's gonna kinda suck for me because I'm gonna have to catch up on the rep, but the endgame rep grind is a whole different topic. I can do an entire zone like this. I can do the entire quest in here. I did about 3/4 of the quest in this zone so far, the town log steps, right? I haven't gotten half a level out of it, right? I don't think I got half a level out of this entire zone. So what people are saying is that they try to do quest to level and they don't do anything else, and they get stuck. They run out of quests. And that's a huge problem, right? Like, we are back to vanilla, where you cannot have enough quests to get to the zone that you're supposed to. It is not fun. They messed up. The tuning is all wrong. Now,
yeah, I do think, honestly, and this is once again to talk to Blizzard here, I don't know what you guys were thinking. I don't know if there was, any PTR testing that you guys did internally, but the tuning is a little bit all over the place. And if anything, it is more than a little bit. It's a lot all over the place, especially the issues with the original launch of MOP. It was completely horrendous. The MOP launch was a shit show, to be honest with you. The lag fest everywhere, the quests still not working properly, dailies not properly showing up in locations. We have to depend on Questy, and Questy's not even working. So Blizzard, we depend on your own in-game UI, which is not helping whatsoever at all. And this is on top of bugged quest as well that you have to abandon and re-pick up again. It's kind of a shit show. And then the fact that you don't get enough XP through the own world of the game, and you have to spam these other cheeky methods like I was mentioning before of just doing dungeons. That's not really what an MMO is all about, and it really goes to show me that I don't know if Blizzard really took care with this expansion as much as we think. And I'm not saying they're not, giving all eyes and putting all hands on deck when it comes to MOP, but it really shows me there's really not that much, I don't want to say the word respect, but I guess the word is care when it comes to seeing this out, because there is still ongoing issues occurring on MOP as we speak. Hell, even for tailorers right now, I don't know if you have any tailoring, but to proc certain recipes with tailoring is not working. It is completely bugged in the Silken Fields, and a lot of other tailors were telling me the same thing. So there's problems going on with this game, and Blizzard, I really hope you guys are putting your foot on the pedal when it comes to, fixing this product, because people do want to play MOP, but it's not looking too great, at least right now, at the moment.
The question is, because in the beta we had post-nerf XP for a while, and then they changed it into pre-nerf XP, so they reverted that little nerf. So a lot of people thought that MOP leveling wasn't too bad because of that. Now it is really freaking bad. And yes, even if you play the game a lot, man, like 28 hours just to hit level 90 if you don't want to cheese it, if you don't want to do like monkey runs. 28 was what Jay Tello got. By the way, he was like doing like a speed running route. Well, not a speed running route, but like the
28.
whatever, like
Amigo, it was 18. It was 18 hours. Get it right. I did 17, 18, 28. Where are you getting these numbers from, Medina? I'll pack you up, sir. I'll say what I said. Much love to you. But I appreciate the shout out.
Good route. I think a lot of people are gonna try to level. They are gonna get to like level 86, 87. And by the way, like it gets a lot slower after you hit 87. Level 88 takes a lot longer. A lot of people are gonna do the math in their heads of how long it's gonna take for them to hit level 90. And a lot of people are gonna quit. And you might wanna say, okay, those people are not very dedicated. They would have quit anyway. I don't think so. I mean, they leveled through Cataclysm, and Cataclysm took a quarter as long. I don't know, I just think the XP is, I don't know, I think like I don't know. Even though I will never agree with the Cdew take, getting rid of leveling is just absolutely insane. I can totally get where he's coming from, and
Hold on. So here's the thing. Let me just put a pause real quick. I agree with what Medina is saying. I do think people are going to see what MOP is all about when it gets to the end game. And you're going to see that it is truly just spamming dailies and waiting for raid, and then just doing your, battlegrounds and waiting for the next gear to come out, right? And then you're going to replace your previous gear, and that's really it. You're always just going to be spamming dailies, and then there's going to come a certain point in MOP when it really becomes just, raid simulator. It's going to become BG or arena simulator, right? And that's really it. That's your MMO, which in my opinion, I do think it is kind of a bummer that that is the case, but some people really do enjoy that. But when they see the leveling process, and whether you guys like the leveling process or not, it could be a little intimidating. But then when they see the dailies, that's going to really, be the straw that breaks the camel's back at that point for a lot of players, whether they want to continue through that or not, because the dailies is really the intimidating part. And people are going to say, well, I see why this game is either not for me, I'm going back to maybe another version of Classic, or I see why they decided to continue this, and this is like, the more retail-esh design, and I'll give it a shot. But will I do this on more than one character? I don't know. And I think a lot of people are going to have different opinions on this, because they were saying even in Eben's interview that they want to make this game more alt-friendly. But I don't think with the current design right now, with the leveling process and also the type of dailies that you have to do on a continuous basis, is something that is really considered alt friendly. Now, I do believe though that if you do get your reputations too exalted for certain reps, I've heard this. I don't know if this is necessarily true, so leave your comments below. That you do get a reputation bonus by 100% for another character on your account, like an account thing. So that could be better. And it inspired more people to want to do dailies and, maybe level another tune or two. But at the current moment, yeah, it is very slow is what I'm saying.
Don't think he deserves to get that much of a backlash from saying this, because even though it is like the most ridiculous thing he could possibly say about the matter, I think most people are kinda feeling on his side right now. And once again, his problem is that he's a PvPer, and as a person that is gonna play multiple characters, it will be my problem very soon. Because if you wanna play just one character, you are really not in a rush to hit level 90. The quests in here are gonna give you rep for the end game, and you are kinda doing your end game work a little bit when you're doing mob. By the way, I did an entire freaking zone. I am barely like 1500 or reputation into friendly. I would be like very lucky if I get honored out of this place. So get ready for the dailies. The dailies that's gonna be an entire new barrier of entry for mob. But if you wanna play multiple characters, because if you are doing arenas at a high level, you have to play multiple characters. You just have to. Your teammates are not always online. You have to have like different possible compositions. And also like PvPers just like playing multiple characters. That's what they do. And those people get shafted the most. If it takes me 4 freaking days to max level a character, I don't know how many characters I wanna do for mob, honestly. I have like 6 characters ready to go. I don't know right now how many I wanna level. Like, this is completely bombing me out. And the experience in questing is not good. It is not fun to come here. Let me show you, okay? Right here. I am pulling every mob. Do you see how my HP is not even going down? Yeah, I get it. I'm a blood decay. Whatever. Like, I saw an elemental shaman do this earlier. Okay, you see this? Every quest you gotta do, you do this. And you just sit here and you wait for the mobs to die. Does this look fun to you? Just sitting here and waiting for all the mobs to die in front of you. Because this is all you're gonna do. Like, everybody is a mage now. Everybody can AoE farm now. And it is the most brain dead possible way to do it. Look at that, I'm taking all these guys' mobs. And just like that, they are all dead, right? Like, I had to press a little more buttons than I usually press, but like all the mobs are freaking dead. They are no threat to me.
So I want to answer this real quick because Medina did say something that I do think it was very intriguing, that every class kind of AoEs everything down. And that is the truth. Like, this is kind of like the identity crisis that happened even in Cataclysm too, where, you start to see the breadcrumbs of like, more classes becoming very, very, closer to each other in terms of its identity, rather, a class being a mage, a class being a rogue, a class being a paladin, warrior, etc. And now everything kind of feels like it's like each other, and this is where like the retail gravy train starts to go into effect. And I do think that is true. That's what everyone is doing. It is kind of like stupid when you think about it, and I do hope in the future, whatever Blizzard decides to do with its next iteration of, Classic Plus or whatever, they really stay loyal to class identity and make it feel that a class can't do every single other thing that another class can do, and you have to bring these other classes, because I think that is very important. But in the same sense, as far as like, what players are expecting from MOP right now and what they want to see, whether they just want to rush through this leveling process, or whether they just want to get to the end game, whether Blizzard thinks this game is alt friendly or not. I think, honestly, in my personal opinion, they should just go back to the forum post, what we were just looking at before, with the 33% XP increase rates, and revert back to that, rather than revert and give us the minus 33 XP ratios, and we could just have a faster experience of leveling through this game, because you're still going to have to sit at the wall of dailies already. And I understand that there is the 100% reputation gains that you can get from your account, from which I heard for your other alts. But the process of leveling is daunting. Now, maybe some players want that leveling process to be daunting, and I totally understand that, because we were talking about that before earlier in the video. But that means your world in itself has to be filled with more activities and more enjoyable things to do, because at the current moment, when you fly around the world, it feels very empty and really dull, and everybody is just living in instances. So you have to actually improve your world and improve its questing before we actually, want to get to a point where we increase the XP rates. And if you don't improve that, and if you're not going to increase your world, you're not going to, you know, involve into your zones, then just give us the increased XP rates and just say, hey, listen, we as Blizzard, we're not going to be adding any more quests to these zones or any more ways to, you know, implement the players from going from zone to zone and having more fun in our world. We're just going to give you faster XP rates so you can have more characters and get to the end game quicker, and that's your game. If that's the answer, then just give us that. And then just move on with your day. Because there's really nothing else you could do from here on out that nobody doesn't know already when it comes to Mists of Pandaria. That is it. That is your expansion. That is the game. Truth be told.
5 different cooldowns to deal with the mobs. I do not get to explore the world because the world doesn't exist. The world is a thin veil for making me do chores. The world doesn't fight back to me. The world doesn't try to push me against anything I do. They just die. I can at least somewhat understand why people like vanilla leveling. I got no idea why people would enjoy doing this all day. And people say, oh, it's for the cutscenes. Yeah, you're gonna watch the same cutscenes 7 times? Is that what you want to do with your time? Is this really the best cutscenes you can get out of a video game? Can't you just go to like Final Fantasy? I don't know, man. It's stupid. I hate this. Leveling in MOP is easily the worst leveling experience I got so far. And on all my other characters, I think I'm not even gonna care about the reputation. I'm not even gonna try. I just think I'm gonna do monkey runs until I hit 90 and my eyes bleed, and that's pretty much it. But do not hate on Cdew too much. He just had a heated gamer moment, okay? I agree with him, kinda. Not quite. Man. I can totally feel his pain though. I really do. Subscribe, join the Discord.
Good video. Good video, Medina. Good video indeed. Much love, amigos. I'll catch you on the next one. Keep on keeping on. See you later.